Let me tell you something most men will spend their entire lives never understanding. A woman can fall in love with you relatively easily. That is not the hard part. The hard part, the part that separates the men she stays with from the men she eventually leaves, is making her stay in love. Not for a few months, not for a year, but for the long term. For the kind of years that actually mean something. Because here is the reality most men refuse to accept. Many women can fall in love. But staying in love, that is an entirely different challenge. And the reason most relationships eventually collapse has nothing to do with the love not being real in the beginning. It has everything to do with the man never understanding what actually keeps it alive. You have seen it happen. Women leaving handsome men. Women walking away from wealthy men. Women ending relationships with men who gave them everything. The gifts, the attention, the romantic gestures, the constant reassurance. And yet the love still faded, still cooled, still eventually disappeared without a clean explanation. So if none of those things are the answer, what is? The truth is this. A woman will only love you long term if you make her feel emotionally safe with you. That is the one reason. Not your appearance, not your income, not the words you say when you are trying to impress her, or the grand gestures you make when you feel her pulling away. Emotional safety. The deep, consistent, unshakable feeling that she can trust you, not just with her time and her body, but with her actual self. With her fears, her real thoughts, her vulnerable moments, the parts of herself she has spent years learning not to show just anyone, and emotional safety is not built through declarations. It is built through daily, consistent, quiet choices that most men either do not know about or do not bother to sustain once they feel secure in the relationship. Here is what those choices actually look like. The first is listening without immediately trying to fix everything. Most men hear a woman talking about a problem and their instinct fires immediately. Let me solve this. Let me give you the answer. Let me help you make this go away. And while that impulse comes from a genuine place, it almost always misses the point entirely. Because most of the time when a woman brings you something difficult, she is not asking for a solution. She is asking to be heard. She wants to know that her thoughts matter, that her feelings are valid, that the person she chose actually cares enough to be present with her in the difficulty rather than rushing past it toward a resolution that makes him feel useful. When you listen to her carefully, without interrupting, without preparing your response while she is still speaking, without redirecting toward advice, she feels something that is rarer than most men realize. She feels respected, and respect is one of the deepest foundations that long-term love is built upon. Next time she comes to you with something hard, resist the impulse to fix it. Simply listen. Let her finish. Let her feel completely heard. And only offer your perspective if she specifically asks. That restraint is not weakness. It is one of the most emotionally intelligent things you can do. The second is consistency. One of the fastest ways to lose a woman's love is to be one person when you are pursuing her and a completely different person once you feel secure. She fell in love with the man who showed up fully, attentive, present, engaged, reliable. When that man begins quietly disappearing and a more comfortable, less invested version of him takes his place, she does not simply feel disappointed. She feels confused. She starts grieving someone who is still technically there. Never start something you cannot maintain. Never make promises you do not intend to keep. Never disappear and reappear as though nothing happened. Women can forgive genuine mistakes. What they struggle to recover from is inconsistency, because inconsistency makes trust impossible. If she cannot predict who you are going to be tomorrow, she cannot relax into loving you today. And a woman who cannot relax cannot fully open. Consistency tells her she can depend on you. And that dependability is what transforms attraction into something that actually survives the years. The third is emotional control. A strong man is not a man who never feels. He is a man who manages what he feels, who can experience frustration, disappointment, even real anger, and still choose how he responds rather than being driven by the emotion itself. When every disagreement becomes a battle, when tension produces shouting, withdrawal, or days of cold silence, the relationship becomes exhausting. And exhaustion is not compatible with love. They cannot coexist for long. She wants to know that when difficulty comes, and it always does, you will meet it with maturity rather than chaos. That she does not have to manage your emotional state on top of everything else she is already carrying. When you demonstrate that you can hold yourself together when things are hard, you show her something rare. You show her that her heart is genuinely safe in your hands. Emotional control is not built overnight. It is built through practice, through the repeated decision to pause before reacting. But every time you choose the pause, you become more of the man she needs. The fourth is making her feel genuinely appreciated. Never assume she already knows. Never tell yourself that your actions speak loudly enough and that words are unnecessary. Tell her directly. Thank her for the small things. Notice what she does, not the obvious visible things, but the quiet efforts she makes that are easy to overlook when life is busy and comfortable. Because when a woman stops feeling appreciated, she does not usually announce it. She simply begins investing her energy somewhere else. Somewhere she does feel valued. People stay where they feel celebrated. That is not romantic sentiment. It is human nature operating exactly as designed. When you consistently make her feel seen, noticed, and genuinely important to you, she does not want to leave. Because leaving would mean losing the one place where she feels truly recognized. Make her that place, not through obligation or performance, but through the genuine daily practice of noticing her and letting her know what you notice. The fifth is honesty when it is most difficult. Lies destroy trust. And when trust is broken, love does not disappear immediately. It weakens slowly, like a structure losing its foundation piece by piece until one day it simply cannot hold. Many men lie to avoid conflict. But the conflict that dishonesty eventually produces is always far more damaging than the temporary discomfort of telling the truth would have been. That a woman can handle the truth. She can handle you telling her you made a mistake, that you are struggling, that you need space. What she cannot handle, what quietly destroys her ability to love you fully, is the realization that the person she trusted with her real self was not entirely truthful with her. Be honest, especially when it is hard. Particularly when it is hard. That is when honesty matters most. And that is when it builds the deepest trust. The sixth is continuing to grow as a man. That a relationship cannot expand beyond the growth of the people inside it. A woman falls in love with the man you are today, but she stays in love with the man you are becoming. When you stop growing, you stop giving her a reason to remain curious about you. And without curiosity, passion settles into routine. And routine, comfortable as it feels, is quietly fatal to love over time. Every time you choose to develop yourself, physically, mentally, professionally, emotionally, you give her something new to discover. You give her a future to look forward to rather than simply a static present to manage. Growth keeps the relationship alive. And it tells her that the man she chose takes his own life seriously enough to keep becoming more. The seventh is leading with confidence rather than control. Real leadership in a relationship has nothing to do with domination. It is about having direction. Staying composed when things become difficult. Making considered decisions and being willing to take responsibility for them. A woman feels genuinely secure with a man who knows where he is going, whose confidence is not loud or performed but quiet and earned. Confidence attracts. Control repels. Lead her with vision, with integrity, with the steady assurance of a man who trusts himself, and she will choose to follow, not because you demanded it, but because being with you feels like the right direction to move in. If you remember nothing else, remember this. A woman will only love you long-term if she feels emotionally safe with you. That safety comes from consistency, from honesty, from emotional maturity, from genuine appreciation, and from becoming the kind of man she can trust completely. Not just a man she is attracted to, but a man she can build something real with. Because attraction starts relationships. Trust is what keeps them.